We buy Christian Encarnacion-Strand's performance, even though he only played in 63 games last year. We'll tell you why and what other small sample sizes we're buying on today's Locked On Reds.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily source for all things Cincinnati Reds. I'm Stephen Offenbaker. He's Jeff Carr, and we love baseball. We love these Cincinnati Reds, and we have taken our love of the game, our love for the Reds, and we have turned it into information for you. The Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's podcast, we are going to be talking about these performances of these rookies and first-year players with the Reds, and what comes to mind is small sample size. Was there enough to make a judgment to buy or sell on the performance that you saw? We're going to be talking about both whose performances we buy and whose performances we sell. Before we get into any of that, I want to shout out the sponsor of today's podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50 plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com and use the code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. That's Jace, Jase medical.com. All right, Jeff. Sample sizes are an important part of this conversation because there are so many players on this Reds team that played less than one full season, their initial introduction to Major League Baseball. And we're coming into a season in 2024 where there are high expectations. There is an air of excitement and playoff possibility surrounding this team before it ever sets foot in the field in 2024. And it leads us to ask the question, which of these performances do we buy? Who do we think will be showed us who they really are, the real deal? Which performances do we sell? Players that we don't think necessarily showed us who they really were, and either we're selling a bad performance expecting it to get better or selling an outstanding performance that we don't think can be duplicated. That's what we're going to be getting into today. And let's start out positive because by God, that's what we do around here. And let's go with the first performance that we are buying, and that is one Christian Encarnacion-Strand.
Yes, and I think that it's important to really look at these small sample sizes. We talk about this a lot whenever we're evaluating a player. We're like, well, he did this, small sample size, so take it with a grain of salt. This is where we take that grain of salt and we say, we're buying the grain of salt. We're buying everything that this guy was selling last season. CES absolutely doing that. In 63 games, he had a 270 batting average, got on base just about 33% of the time, and he had a 477 slugging, which, according to Baseball Reference and math in general, if you extrapolate that out to a 162-game season where he plays every single game, he would hit 33 home runs and get 95 RBIs at the pace that he was going. We're talking about an elite middle lineup type hitter in CES, and I'm buying that because I tell you what, the numbers here, when it comes to the batting average, when it comes to the on-base percentage, all you need to do is watch him play. If you've watched CES play, you know how he approaches every at-bat. He's very cerebral. There's almost a systematic approach to each pitch, the way that he is able to just sort of download the information as the ball's coming toward the plate, and he's able to get the bat through the zone with very good bat speed and hit the ball a country mile. That was something that scouts saw all throughout the minor leagues, whether he was at the lower levels or even in AAA. There were so many different highlights when he was in Louisville where he was hitting the tops of scoreboards and things like that. So this is not a fluky thing. He's got all the power in the world, but you combine that power with a very good discipline at the plate. He is a guy that is going to be a very dangerous force in the middle of this Reds lineup this year and for years to come.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm all in on buying his performance as well. When we did our projected lineups We had him slotted right in there as the number 4 guy, no matter what else was going on with this lineup, no matter what handed the pitcher was, and whether he's playing first base or DH or maybe right field. Hello, right field, right-handed power hitter, right field, maybe. No, any of those 3 places doesn't matter to me what position he is defensively. When David Bell fills out that lineup card, the 4th line should say CES for a majority of the time he's making lineups next year in 2024.
Yeah, I don't want a platoon situation with this. I want him in the lineup every single day. He's the guy too, and like I know we talk about him playing different positions and things like that, but he is a guy that was the heir apparent to Joey Votto. He's probably the biggest reason that Joey Votto did not return, because he fills every spot that Joey Votto used to have. He's first baseman, middle of the order type hitter, guy who's going to bring in the runs. He is going to be a dude in the middle of this order. And I feel very good about saying that, despite the fact that we only saw 63 games from him.
Yeah, I really think that the 33 homer projection, that's really realistic.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you look at those projection numbers and you're like, I don't know. I think he could surpass 33 home runs given the right scenario. I think he could bump up against 40. And of course, we know how my 40 home run predictions work out around here. So I'm not necessarily calling that he's going to hit 40, but I think he can get past 33 in a full season of play with no injuries. Let's say he gets into 150 plus games. 35 home runs, I think, is very realistic for what he has shown us with his ability to hit for power.
Well, the next guy we're buying, Steve, is the man that you say deserves a certain letter on his chest.
Put the C on his chest. I am all in buying Matt McLain. Extend him, put the C on his chest, put him on billboards, put him on posters, make him the face of the franchise. I love the way that this dude played. In 89 games last season, Jeff, his slash line, are you ready? Because it's just sexy. It's 290, 357. Wait for it. 507.
How many games was that? How many games?
507 in 89 games. So a 162 game projection. We're going to continue to go along the lines of those projections. 162 game projection over at Baseball Reference has him hitting 29 home runs, accounting for 91 RBIs and a total of 193 hits, nearly 200 hits in a full season. I will take that all day long. I love him at the top of this lineup. I think that he could very well just be the leadoff hitter. Stick him out there in slot number 1 and let him do his thing. He'll give you some power there. He'll give you a lot of base hits, a lot of doubles there. And then as this lineup works its way through a game, with him hitting behind the likes of Will Benson, who we think is the best number 9 hitter in baseball, a lot of RBI opportunities as well. So I really love what he does as far as the offensive things in the lineup. Defensively, you know, he's probably the best shortstop on the team, and had to yield that position to Elly, to have Elly at shortstop. And what Matt showed us is he can play elite defense no matter where you put him on the infield. He can play second base. He can play shortstop. Wherever you stick him out there, he's going to have a great glove. I really just think he is the real deal. And then he's got this other quality, Jeff, this other thing about him. And one of the reasons why I think Cincinnati is just going to love him so much for the time that he is here is because he plays like that Cincinnati player that we all love, that blue collar, nose to the grindstone, hustle
Take
type
your
of
lunch
guy.
pail to work.
Yes. Yeah. He's just one of those dudes. And those are the dudes that this city falls in love with. So I think with Matt McLain performing at this kind of a level, this city is going to embrace him so hard, which is going to just fuel him even further. I can't wait to see what Matt McLain does in 2024.
Well, and it doesn't hurt that he wears number 9. Number 9 in Cincinnati is a pretty good number to have. When you look at Matt McLain too, I think that it's important to note 89 games isn't nothing to shake a stick at. Like we talk about small sample sizes and you be cautious and stuff like that. Like the first guy that I'm thinking of, and you know, if we'd have done a segment where we talk about hold, I want to wait and see a little bit more, I'd have talked about Noel V. Marte in that segment, just because we haven't seen very much of him to know much of anything about him. Matt McLain, we're getting to, like, we're talking about a guy that plays past the All-Star break, and you know, he's still slugging 507. I want to put that into perspective, because before he came up, that was a huge question mark, and people did not know how much power he was going to hit for. In fact, that was the biggest question that any scout said with Matt McLain. They said he's got, you know, hits for contact really well. He's fast. He has great glove, pretty decent arm. We just don't know if he's going to hit for power. And he slugged 507. in 89 games. Like, he's like, I'll show you power. I got the power right here. Yippee-ki-yay. So when it comes to Matt McLain, I'm buying all of this. And you can see some of those slash lines come down. I don't think the on base comes down very much, but you can maybe see the average get a little bit unlucky, the slugging get a little bit unlucky, but it's not going to dip down to like, go by like 100 points or something like that. I'd still see him hitting 270 at the very worst.
You know, what's the interesting thing with Matt McLain is when I talked to him when he was still in Chattanooga, he talked about trying to improve his power and his ability to drive the ball. He talked about that. And then he comes back the next year. And yeah, he slugged 507 in Cincinnati. Was that a fluke? Well, he was slugging 688 in Louisville before he was called up. So whatever he worked on in the time he was in Chattanooga and the beginning of the 2023 baseball season, clearly it worked. The adjustments to his swing, the adjustments to his approach worked. Over an entire season, his slugging numbers show that it worked. So I'm not concerned about much of a fall off. There'll be a bit of a dip in certain statistical categories. Will he slug 500 all season long in 2024? No, probably not. But I will take the 450 that I think he can give us. I truly will. Will he be a 290, 300 hitter? Yeah. I think that could reasonably hold. It's not an unrealistic or unreasonable expectation to think he can continue to perform at that level. Not a lot of 300 hitters left in baseball. I get it. I understand the numbers, but if he's anywhere between 280 and 300, smashing success in 2024. I think these numbers are duplicatable. And I think that's really what we were looking at when we picked these guys, right?
Yes. The players that we buy, the performances that we buy are because we think they can do what they did and more in larger sample sizes as they move through their career. There's a couple of guys, though, that what they did last year were selling. One of those is Elly De La Cruz, although it's for a good reason, and we'll tell you why coming up next. Before we get into that, though, I want to tell you about one of today's sponsors, as today's episode is brought to you in part by Jace Medical. Like, I know when it comes to sports, you want to escape from something crazy when it comes to the realities of life and things like that. But can we talk just for a minute about preparing for those tough situations? Whether you're on extended travel, bracing for a major weather event like, snow and all that stuff here in the wintertime, or limited by yet another supply shortage, you are covered. Thanks to our partners at Jace Medical, life-saving antibiotics and a long list of daily medications can be ordered in a 1-year supply. Even ED generics for Cialis or Viagra. Jace Medical has the Jace Case. The Jace Case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among others. Visit jacemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jacemedical.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Again, that's JASE medical.com and the promo code LOCKEDON. Locked On has launched the first ever 24/7 streaming channel for sports on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Also, for those everydayers, thank you so much for being an everyday. If you're not an everydayer, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and on your favorite podcasting app. We'd love to have you. It's part of the Locked On Reds Everydayers. For you everydayers out there, coming up on the next Locked On Reds podcast, we'll keep looking ahead to spring training and win pitchers and catchers report and get you set for this season that I don't even know the last time I had this much anticipation. It had to be 2012 that I had this much anticipated. And even that was coming off a down year in 2011. So probably not even then have I expected a season like this upcoming one. But as we look ahead to this season, we look back on some of the smaller samples that we got from rookies and first-year Reds in 2023, and we talked about who we bought. We bought CES. We bought Matt McLain. Who are we selling? We're selling Elly De La Cruz, first and foremost. In 98 games, 235 batting average, 300 on base, 410 slugging, And if you want to extrapolate, because we did that extrapolation there in the first segment with CES and Matt McLain, that comes out to 238 strikeouts in a season. And I know that there are some players from back in the day that are just rolling in their graves hearing that number. But I'm selling that because I think he's getting better. We saw it at the end of the season. We saw the plate discipline improve. We saw his chase rate go down. We saw his contact rate go up. You know, it didn't go up, Steve. You know, it didn't go up. My favorite stat to talk about, unlucky. Well, what's that?
Oh, his BABIP.
His BABIP didn't go up. In fact, it actually went down. He had worse BABIP. Well, he had a really good BABIP whenever he first got called up. That's why he was hitting over 300. But it was really, really bad for the last couple of months of the season. Dude was getting unlucky despite improving at the plate. I'm selling it. Think Elly's turning it around next year.
I think everybody probably just had a mini heart attack when they heard you lead off with Elly De La Cruz. We're not giving up. I want to be clear. We're selling his bad performance. We think he's going to be better. We're not anticipating that he duplicates what he did in 2023. We think it's going to improve. I think that it's going to improve. He showed us flashes. And what he's also showed us throughout his entire career is that he needs an adjustment period at each new level. Now, when he got to the big leagues, he did kind of kick it off with a little bit of a little bit of a hot streak before crashing back to reality. Listen, he's at the top level. He's facing the best baseball players in the world, the pinnacle of the sport.
0.001%.
Yeah. Right. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to adjust to that. But what he has done at every level is adjust. It's taking a little bit more time at certain levels than others, and he's now at the top. I think we need to give a little bit we need to cut him a little bit of slack and relax a little bit before we push that panic button. I think the flashes that he did show us did in fact reinforce the idea that he can be that great disruptor of a player at the big league level. He can do it with his power. He can do it with his legs. He can do it by, rope-a-doping the defenders at times. We've seen that as well. All of those things translate, and all of those things will continue to get better. I think he's going to continue to improve, Jeff. I'm not sure what type of player he's really going to be yet. I don't know if he's going to be a constant power guy. I don't know if he's going to be kind of the gap doubles, take the extra base kind of guy. I don't know where he's going to settle in. I think one of the things that will dictate ultimately who Elly De La Cruz is when he finally finishes growing and filling out. He's still a very young player. And it's going to take a little bit of time to figure out what his body type is going to dictate that he becomes, whether it's a big, strong power guy. Maybe he will need to move off of shortstop eventually because as he fills out, he may not be able to range as much anymore. There's lots of changes to come for Elly, but I think the thing that's not going to change is the significant amount of talent he has for the game of baseball.
We don't know who he is. We don't know exactly what he's going to be. That's why we're selling Elly De La Cruz's performance in 2023, because there are some people that I've seen on the social medias and things like that think they know who he is based on this sample size. And while we spent the first segment telling you we think we know who CES and Matt McLain are, I'm telling you we don't know who Elly De La Cruz is based on the numbers that we've seen from him, because I think he's going to break out in a big way in 2024. But now, Steve, we got this other guy on here, this name that you put on the list, and that we're selling this guy.
We're selling. I think right now I'm kind of, you created this exercise, sir, and it was performances that we're not sure can be duplicated. And for me, that screams and shouts TJ Friedl, because I'm just not sure who he really is. Was last season an outlier, or was last season the culmination of him arriving at the player he was always going to become? I don't know. I'm a little concerned for his ability to be able to duplicate what he put up in 2023. You look back on his numbers over the course of season. He made it into 138 games, Jeff, and his slash line was 279, 352, 467. That's really good. His power numbers jumped up. He basically appeared in double the amount of games between 2022 and 2023. His power responded exactly the same. He went from 8 home runs in 2022 to 18 home runs, so a little more than double. 18 home runs in 2023. His base on balls, a little more than doubled. His strikeouts, a little more than doubled. So his numbers all lined up with the playing time. Here's my fear. I don't know that he can continue to defeat the lefty on lefty numbers that he did in 2023. I don't, or 2020. Yeah. 2023. I don't know that he can keep that up. Now what I hope is that he goes out there and shows me that who he really is the guy that was playing in 138 games in 2023. Then I'll change my tune. But I have real concern for him being able to duplicate what he did against left-handers next year. I think that defenses are going to be better prepared to defend him on the bunt. They're going to be better prepared to take away some of the things that this really endeared TJ Friedl to us and his Captain Chaos mentality that he brought forward for this team. So I'm not saying he can't be that guy. I'm saying I don't know if he is that guy, and I don't know if he can duplicate that performance. So right now, if I got to sell, I'm selling on that performance.
I'm going to give you 2 numbers and a colloquial reason as to why I don't think I totally sell TJ Friedl. At least I think he can duplicate what he did. Now, is he going to get better? I don't know. That seems like a lot. But here's 2 numbers for you. Strikeout percentage, 16.2%. League average is 22%. He's well below that. And his BABIP, 308. Talk about the BABIP a lot. League average is about 299. He was not getting that. Like, I mean, he's about 10 points above league average. So it's a little bit lucky, but I think that factors in the speed, that factors in the chaos part of his game. I think that definitely kind of accounts for that. And the colloquial reason as to why we didn't expect anything from him before he did this. We didn't expect him to be anything. He wasn't a prospect. He wasn't ranked. And when he came up and the Reds said we're going to play him in center field, we're like, all right, go ahead. Well, whatever. This is the last year anyway. Let's see what we got. And he showed to be that guy. I think he can continue to hit lefties. I don't know that it'll be the reverse split that it was last season, but I still think that split will be very small, if noticeable at all. So I think that we could still see him hit around 270, still get on base around 350. The slugging probably comes down. That feels like that was a little fluky because his exit velocity isn't the best, but he is a dude that knows how to put the ball where they ain't, and he knows how to get on base. So I think that largely he can duplicate what he did. If you're going to put a gun to my head and say that, he will get better, I don't know that I could say that, but I think that he can duplicate what he did.
Well, here's the thing. I really want to be wrong about this. I really want for him to be this player that he was in 2023, because to put this simply, Jeff, the Cincinnati Reds don't have another option. If he can't duplicate what he did in center field, your next choice is Jose Barrero. That's the next guy that you have to run out there. Beyond that, maybe a call-up of Stuart Fairchild. And I don't know that having either Jose Barrero or Stuart Fairchild as your everyday center fielder is going to inspire fear in anybody.
6'1", half dozen the other. Yeah,
correct. So for me, I really, really, really want to be wrong about this. But again, following your rules that you forced upon me, the players that I'm really worried about duplication of performance, this is one. But I've never wanted to be more wrong about a player. So I want before everybody starts throwing shade at me in the comments, I'm trying to be realistic, but I want to be wrong.
Right. And I was the TJ Friedl for MVP guy anyway, so I'm definitely going to back my guy. Man.
All right. Listen, Jeff, there are just, ready for this? 79 short days until opening day. We're going to start counting them down today. And we're going to do that by talking about the best red to ever wear number 79. We've got that next. Before we talk about the best red to ever wear number 79, I want to shout out the sponsor of today's podcast, and that is FanDuel. The NFL regular season is wrapped up, but there is still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets back, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet on anything at FanDuel. That's $150 in bonus bets back, win or lose, with any $5 bet. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get on the action than right now. You can also combine your bets. You can do money line. You can do point spreads. You can do prop bets. You can combine your prop bets into single game parlays for even more fun. The Reds are still plus 450 to win the division. You really want to throw a few dollars at that. I'm telling you, the Reds are going to win the National League Central. To get in on the action, just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and start turning your sports knowledge into cash. FanDuel is the official partner of the National Football League and the official sportsbook of Locked On. You can follow us between episodes on all of the social medias. We find both of us on X. Jeff wants to be an X-Man, so here we are. You can find him at Jeff Carr. That's Jeff with 3 Fs. You can follow me at S. Offenbaker. That's with 2 Fs. And you can follow the show at Locked On Red. Also, we've got a Discord community. The link for that is down in today's episode description. Lots of great Reds talk over there, and we're talking Bengals. We're talking off-topic stuff. Lots of channels to get involved with over at Discord. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure you go and bookmark InsideTheReds.com. Jeff's over there doing a majority of the heavy lifting on the writing. I'm over there from time to time. James Rapine is popping in with some writing. Audie Elmore, Rick Uccino, lots of Reds coverage. InsideTheReds.com. Bookmark that site today. All right, Jeff, counting it down. 79 days remain until opening day in Cincinnati at Great American Ballpark. And let's do something fun. Let's do this countdown and talk about some of the Reds greats to wear the numbers along the way. And at number 79, looking through the archives, the history of this wonderful franchise, the greatest Red to wear number 79 is the only Red to wear number 79. And that is your guy, Mr. Rubber Arm himself, Ian Gibaut.
You gotta love the fact that there's a lot of these high numbers the Reds have never used until like the last 3-4 years. And this is one of them. The number 79 is Ian Gibaut's and Ian Gibaut's alone. Does that mean when he leaves, they got to retire it? Nah, probably not. Anyway, when his 2 seasons with the Red, let's break this down a little bit, Steve, because we talked about Ian Gibaut. We talked about, is he the odd man out of the bullpen coming into this year? Let's celebrate the 2 years that he's had with the Reds so far. As a Red, he has 2 combined wins above replacement in those 2 years. Do you know how many wins above replacement he has for his entire career, Steve?
I do. He has 2.1 career WAR in 5 years for 5 different teams.
Hey, dude has been around, pitched for Cleveland. He pitched for the Rays. He pitched for the Twins, pitched for the Reds. Like he's been around, and only in 5 seasons, but he has 107 appearances as a Red. He has 28 combined appearances with the rest of the other 4 teams he's played with. They just didn't know who he was.
No, when he came to Cincinnati, his first year in Cincinnati, they doubled his career high from all of his previous pitching performances. The Reds doubled it. And then last season, they doubled it again. So they have really found him to be a workhorse. And we talked about this on other shows. That's not necessarily a bad thing to have him in this bullpen in 2024. Right. You just have to use him in the right spots. He's not your high leverage guy. He's not your 8th or 9th inning dude, but he is great for a 6th or 7th inning bridge guy that you can run out there 70 times a season. I'm down with that. That will be very valuable to this Reds bullpen in 2024.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 4th other team. So he's only pitched for the Reds in the National League. He's pitched for 4 American League teams. I said Minnesota, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, and also the Texas Rangers are teams that are on the resume of one Ian Gibaut. He's been a dude as well. Like looking at his body of work, he has 4 career saves, and all 4 of them are with the Reds. Basically, there's a lot of different numbers to explain the fact that when he came to Cincinnati, nobody knew who he was, and he just took off. And there's a lot of respect for that. He's one of those guys that the way that he comes to the Reds is very innocuous, and you don't expect much out of him. And all of a sudden now we're talking about the dude who had, 73 appearances last season. Like when you talk about a guy who comes to the Reds in just such a relatively unknown way, you don't expect that from a guy like Ian Gibaut.
Another reason that I really like having Ian Gibaut on this team, Jeff, because if I pull his jersey in a grab bag at Reds Fest, it, by God, is going to fit me. Unlike some other issues that we've had in the past. My self-confidence will not take a blow if I pull an Ian Gibaut jersey in the grab bag.
And to wit, I mean, the Reds got him off waivers from the Dodgers. So he went from the there was the Indians that year. So I'm not wrong. I actually was Guardians 2022. I'm still canceled. Anyway, he went from the Guardians to the Dodgers. He just never pitched for the Dodgers, and then he came to the Reds. So crazy to think of his road to where he is now, to the point that, and I think we're really the only ones that are talking about, could he be, in danger of losing his spot for opening day? I definitely think that it's a lot less than we're giving it credit for. I think that the Reds probably value him very highly and don't look at him as a guy who his seat's not exactly saved. I think that he's shown at least enough to garner that kind of respect. So I do put some respect on his name as we are thinking of the number 79 here, 79 days away from opening day.
It's going to be fun to watch the battles out in Goodyear for sure. There's going to be a lot of extra emphasis on every single performance, and we are going to have you covered every step of the way, right, Jeff?
Exactly, Steve. But that's where we're going in today's podcast. Thanks, everybody, for checking out today's Locked On Reds podcast. If you are not a Locked On Reds every day, or what are you doing? You hung on to this point. It's January 9th. We're 79 days away from opening day, and you're talking Reds with us. So make sure you become an everydayer and subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe right here on YouTube. Click that bell to get notified, because we're going to be with you every step of the way. Nick Cross says that we're done. If we're not done and there's something that happens, you can bet we're going to be all over it. Why, Steve?
Because we're going to keep our ears to the ground. We're going to keep listening for the rumors. We're going to watch the transactions as they unfold. And if anything happens, we're going to gather it all up, bring it right back here to keep you locked on Reds every single day. That Gibaut jersey will even fit you.
I have to lose some weight.